Hello everyone, and welcome to Global Authenticity TV. And my name is Barry Ockertell from the Gold Coast in Australia, and I'm with you with Norma Hollis from California in the USA. Hello, Norma.
Hi, Barry. How are you today?
I look very good, thank you. I think it's really interesting that our days are separate. You know, like we're actually Thursday here and it's only Wednesday your time. And I think that says something about being a global economy and a global society, that we need to always remember that, you know, we aren't even in the same days sometimes as other places.
Yes, we are global. And what's so interesting is that authenticity is an issue everywhere we look. It's not just, I used to think it was just an issue in the United States about people being inauthentic, but I see it's worldwide.
Oh, look, definitely. And it's something that, you know, as I talk to people, what's really interesting is that we all still have the same core issues and the same desires to move into an authentic conversation. And what I've been really pleased about is the series that we've been looking at has been looking at authenticity in relationships, starting with the individual and then couples and then families. And then today we're going to extend it into that extended family. And I'm sure that will also, for a lot of people, just include their friends who these days is almost their family, isn't it?
Absolutely. I know for me it definitely includes probably more extended family friends than it does actually blood family members. And I think as we become more of a global and mobile society, our definition of friendship and family changes because we're able to pick up and move so rapidly. And, you know, family to me are people who are of like mind. And sometimes the family that you were born in doesn't share that, but as you go through life, you're able to find other people with like minds, and that's how you share your authenticity because you have values in common. It makes a difference.
That's actually a really good point, and I know sometimes that, you know, we can even have friendships that we start off, you know, at like mind, and then one thing I know is that sometimes one of the people in that relationship will sort of grow and move forward, and I always believe it's not about coming back towards that relationship, but it's about moving forward, and sometimes that might mean leaving some friendships behind. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. Not only friendships, but family. I know when I was moving in toward my authentic self, I moved 3,000 miles away from my family. I was in my late 20s, and I had to change because the influence and the bond was very strong. And had I stayed, I would have maintained that bond and that love, but I would have lost myself because it was not the right place. It was a great place to grow up, Detroit, Michigan, but it wasn't where I belonged as an adult. So I had to leave family in order to connect to my own authentic self.
Yeah. And I think what's important for me is that in my life, as I've moved on from some people, it's been important for me not to make them wrong or blame them or say, look, you know, I don't like them anymore. It's almost a gratitude thing for me now. I thank those people for the time that they were in my life, and I allow the new doors to open for new people to come into my life. And it just always seems to happen.
Well, it's just like they say, you know, if you want new things in your life, you got to get rid of old things. And so it's the same way in some ways with friends, especially if there are relationships that drain you and don't support you. I heard some time ago, go where you're celebrated and not where you're tolerated. So when you're where you're tolerated, it's not exactly where you can be authentic. When you're being celebrated, you can let yourself out and you have a chance for authenticity to come out even more effectively.
Oh, that's just wonderful. The other area I want to have a chat to you about, Norma, is, you know, we're both at the age now where our parents are getting older and some of our parents are sort of moving on. How do you cope, I guess, with this whole idea of relationships, especially with elderly parents or parents who are, you know, are close to passing over, in dealing and even talking about death? Because I know certainly with my father, you know, talking about death is something that he just doesn't want to do, even though literally that's something that could be days away from him.
Right. Well, you know, I lost my father in December 2006 and my mother in November 2008. They say when couples are together a long time, usually within 2-year period, they pass from each other, and they did that with 1 month to spare. And in some ways, I was a little fortunate because both of my parents had some dementia and were in nursing homes before before they finally passed. But they were in Detroit, and I'm in California. So my sister was the one who really had the responsibility for caring for them. But in dealing with her and talking to other people who have been caring for elderly parents, it is quite a challenge. The one thing that I did find in my mother particularly, and she had some dementia, some Alzheimer's on her final days. And when I would look at her, I would feel that I was seeing someone who was just pure spirit. There were no checks and balances. She just was being pure spirit. And I found that to be so delightfully authentic that it was really a joy just to see that level of natural love, natural spirit, natural giving, natural authenticity. It was just great. I found that to be one of the great pleasures of the older age experience.
One of the things that came to me as you're talking is the importance, I guess, of thanking people now, not waiting, but thanking people now for being family, and that's whether they're blood family or close friends, or how important people are in our lives. And quite often I know I don't acknowledge always, the people in my life and the support that they do give me. So I think it's a tip for all of us, and I'm going to start that today, is, make sure every day I thank someone for being part of my life and my own life's journey.
That's great. That's a great way to just have a commitment to thank someone every day. I think that's phenomenal, because so much of life we get into blame and what I should have or shouldn't done, as opposed to just being grateful for every day. Being grateful for every day pushes you to a point of joy. How can you be upset when you're being grateful? So it's a wonderful perspective to help people step into their own authenticity and in the process claim more joy in their life.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely doing that, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I just want to complete in terms of the elderly, and I just wanted to know where the area of joy and humour fits into elderly relationships, and especially as they're getting close to their death. We tend to shy away from humour and make it all serious, but to me, I think humour is such a bonding thing and an authentic process to move forward.
Yeah, I'm smiling because I'm thinking of my father, and humor goes both ways, because while we want to make sure that they are staying in humor in the process, the elderly death process, it was so humorous to me to watch my father, who also had some dementia, and we had him in a nursing home in his last days. And I remember one day he called my mother from the nursing home and he says, "Dorothy, I'm at the PlayStation. Can you come get me?" And, of course we knew he wasn't, because we knew he was, in the home. He says, "Hang on a minute." And he asked the nurse there, he says, "Am I being charged for anything?" And she said, "No." And so he said, "No, not being charged. I just need to come home, so come get me." But it was just so funny. So that was the humor that he put out. He put it out. And he had another one where he had a picture on the wall. He said, "My brother took that picture, and everywhere I go, I see that picture." I said, "Well, Dad, where have you been?" "I've been to the library, to the market, to the store, to the police station. That picture's everywhere." So it was just so funny, because in his mind, he's been everywhere. The picture's been going right along with him. So it was so humorous and just so enjoyable. I call that the spirit of the elderly, just being pure spirit in the last days. Just really phenomenal.
Yeah. So he was having a good time, even though we can label these things, but in his own mind, he was having a great time, wasn't he?
He was so confused, but he was having a great time. He said, "I don't understand. That picture's everywhere." So he was a bit confused, but he was having a great time. He was enjoying his picture, that's for sure.
Oh, that's been awesome. So look, it's been really an amazing journey over these last few weeks to look at relationships, and we've had tips and processes for people to move forward. What do you think is the bonding thing? To me, this whole process of coming back to a place of love ultimately is what is important in all relationships, whether it's ourselves, with our beloved and most important relationship with our families or our extended families. It's this bond of love to me that says that we really are connected, rather than just separate beings on this planet.
Without a doubt, we're connected. We're all, we are, what they say, we're 99.9% alike and only 0.1% different. And that difference has to do with the filters. And we seem to spend so much time focusing on our differences rather than the things that we have authentically in common. So it's great. And this is a bond that we're developing. And hopefully those that are listening are getting that bond too and understanding the energy of authenticity and how valuable it is when you find like-minded people to be in relationship with. That is truly authentic. That's why I'm enjoying this relationship and this time with you, Barry.
Look, thank you. And look, just to finish up today, would you like to let people know your website, please?
Yes, normahollis.com, NORMAHOLLIS.com. And I'd like to suggest that you go to number 3 and take the authenticity assessment. That's the foundation of all the work that I do, and will give you a score so you can see how authentically you're living your life.
And I suggest people also go to conversationsthegame.com.au. The .au is for Australia. And have a look at the relationship game that can actually help transform your relationships as well. So both of those sites will help both with conversation and also authenticity. I also recommend, I've done the test as well. I learned heaps on doing the test myself, so that's awesome. So I really agree with that. Next week, what we're going to do is we're going to start to bring guests in, and I'm really excited about that. So please keep an eye out on this area where you found this particular program, and we're going to start bringing guests in from around the world to really show that authenticity is not a local issue, it is a global issue. So thank you very much, Norma, for being part of today. Is anything else you'd like to say to finish up?
Oh, I just encourage people to find, live, and share your authentic voice, because there's nothing that's a better life than a life that's lived with authenticity. You owe it to yourself.
Thank you. So we're telling everyone, just be our authentic selves. Until next time, thanks very much and goodbye.
Thanks, Barry. See you next time.